Hey there, my name is the Gaudy Jackal, and welcome to Nova Drift. So, if you follow my last episode, we did the triple shot build, which ended up being as many bullets as we could fit on screen, and we also unlocked Danger Zone, which we're going to do. So, Danger Zone has waves that advance faster, and enemies enter the fray more frequently. You might have found, and maybe it was like less noticeable because I was talking over it, but the early stages of the game without Danger Zone and the next upgrade, which I'm not going to spoil. Maybe it's the second one after this. It can be a bit slow, especially for such a fast-paced game, and if you're doing a bunch of rapid-fire runs. So I'm really excited to speed it up. Also, with every incremental change that we make, every one of those various little options at the start, we get more experience, as well as more score, which is hella relevant really for unlocking the various other bits and pieces that we need. We still need like Celestial Lance, there's a lot of super mods, a load of different stuff, and I'm not sure what build I want to do right now. So I guess I will take whatever I get. I'm going to stockpile like 2 upgrades, maybe 3, just so that I can toy around with the initial weapon. You can, as an option, and I definitely will do it at some point, decline your weapon upgrade, and then it will pass on that, and you'll get your shield upgrade. I'm gonna die if I don't. Okay, do we railgun? I guess we railgun. And then I'm probably gonna take... It does give me velocity. See, I don't want to take assault again just because it's kind of the same thing, but just in the early stages, I feel like the assault is honestly one of the best. And now you're experiencing railgun, so I apologize if railgun is kind of loud. It is kind of loud, and I'm gonna reroll here again and again and again, and I didn't get it. Okay, maybe it's not unlocked yet, which is entirely possible. I'm gonna take it. I don't want to take Halo, and we did temporal, but I'm gonna take Halo just in case things get close to us so we can do damage. Railgun is an extremely high velocity, extremely high damage weapon that splinters on impact with enemies or things if it's traveled far enough and done enough damage, and especially if it kills, and also scales with your velocity. So if you're moving really fast, railgun does more damage. Got him. That was sick. Also, I get to go down the velocity tree and show you what like a charge shot calibrate build. We're going to take snipe, so I get weapon velocity, as well as projectiles dealing more damage based on their distance from me, which is also big. And railgun has special scaling where it scales with velocity for its damage. It is kind of hard to hit the cargo trains, that's the only thing. And other small enemies. So this is one of those builds where, say like a drone edition, if you want to go down that route, is really, really, really helpful. I'm not going to take Incendiary Strike just because it's really good, but there's other things I want to focus on right now. I'm going to take Hull Strength, and oh wow, an immediate level up. Sick. And I'm not going to take Blast Radius, I'm going to take Absorption. So I want to get a couple of defensive upgrades because I don't want to find myself in a situation where I focused really heavily on offense and completely neglected defense. And then I end up in hot water with absolutely no way out. Because that's what's going to happen if I go down that route. As you'll see here, the damage numbers are slightly higher when I'm further away. Also, I really enjoy... Oh, magnitude, fantastic. So bigger weapon size, and we're also going to take Splinter when it comes up. It doesn't... Basically, we're going to take anything that doesn't decrease velocity. And what I want to go for here is this absolutely massive, outrageously fast, outrageously damaging weapon. I'll probably take Improved Thrusters, and the reason I'm going to take Improved Thrusters is for the upgrade that follows it. I kind of want Volley though. I get extra spread, I get minus size and total velocity. See, it's 10% total velocity versus like base velocity, which really, really sucks. So anything that I put on is going to get put down. I think I do enough damage, and I can take like Singular Strike, and I can take... Yeah, okay, I'm going to do it. Mostly just because like the damage on this is already insane, and I need a little bit of crowd control, like just a little bit. I'm not going to look at any other form of split shots because split shot on this weapon is just bad. And the slight velocity downgrade, decrease, you can pick one, isn't going to matter too much. with all of the upgrades that I'm going to be getting. Especially not with Snipe. So I'm going to take Force Armor. Again, we'll take it out of the pool. And then Payload. So I get a reduced rate of fire. And I also get weapon size and damage. So now that I have like a little bit of increased blast radius from payload and blast damage, I might see about taking just regular blast radius, which will convert, I think it's 10% of the weapon's damage into blast damage. And 20% damage, so that's not too bad. Ooh, but focus fire. I have to take focus fire. Yeah, that's much better. So yeah, as you can see, enemies are melting, and it's such a far cry from the build that we did previously, which is one of the best parts of the game. Yeah, I'm just going to take Fusillade. No, I'm going to take Calibrate. It's such a far cry from the earlier, any of the other weapons that it's so fun to use. So Calibrate calibrates your weapon over time. It's going to increase projectile, reduce projectile spread, increase targeting, and increase velocity. So the longer I don't fire with this weapon, the more concentrated these shots get, and the higher the velocity, which turns into damage for this weapon. It is absolutely amazing. As you're experiencing, it's just absolutely great. And on top of this, I am going to augment this build with Charge Shot once it shows up. And Charge Shot makes this disgusting. It is some of the absolute most damage I have ever dealt. Charge Shot, fantastic. So rate of fire affects my charge, which means that ultimately the charge is going to be kind of slow because I've got a couple of rate of fire downgrades, but as I charge it increases damage, velocity, size, and blast radius. And have a look at this absolute nonsense. Just a casual 1000 damage on every one of those hits, and they're all piercing. And they deal more damage the further they are away from me. Now, I know I said earlier on in the run that it does more damage when I'm moving. So you'd think that maybe there's a 5% downgrade to thrust when you take Charge Shot. So you think that the best thing possible would be to keep moving, but I can't even describe to you how difficult it is to keep aiming this weapon while you move, and you don't thrust in like a direction you choose. This isn't a twin stick shooter. I'm going to take blast radius. You thrust in the direction you're facing, and I don't want to run straight into enemies because that would be a bad idea. So it's kind of hard to maintain, say, like a high ship velocity. Oh my god, that was through his shell. I've never done this before. Oh, get absolutely devastated. That was not okay. Oh my god, okay. I love this. I absolutely love this. I've done this like once or twice before. We didn't encounter these enemies in the last run, actually, which is kind of a surprise to me. They're a threat. They're a massive threat. Unless you've got this build. Oh my god. I think I have like 4 upgrades stockpiled. Let's check. Okay, so high explosive, absolutely. And I'm going to take singular strike. So how big does this get now? God, if I could see, if I could actually see the projectile, I might be able to know, but... I'm on the fence about whether or not I want to take like a drone upgrade right now. Because... I'll get absolutely devastated. I'm on the fence about whether or not I want to take a drone. Because while it would be really good, it also puts me down an upgrade path that I'm not sure I want right now. I'm going to take Rupture, which is massive. Enemies that are destroyed explode and deal blast damage in a radius around them, which is really great for swarms of enemies. I'm surprised I didn't get hit there. Oh, this is just so strong. I'm astonished. I didn't expect this to go this way. Because I've done this, like I said, like once or twice before, and it's never been this outrageously powerful, but I've always focused on like one individual projectile and never gone down the blast damage route of it either. So I'm sure that has had like a massive impact. Oh, nice. You just get to decimate entire bosses. Oh, I can't wait to fight Seraph with this. I wanted to keep it a kind of a surprise, but Seraph is the final boss. Incendiary Strike? Incendiary Strike. Seraph is the 100 wave boss. I'm not going to detail you any of what Seraph is because it's going to be an absolute clusterfuck when we encounter it, and it's much better to leave it as a bit of a surprise. But Seraph is the wave 100 enemy that I'm going to mark as like was this a successful run? Like, did we beat Seraph? And everything after that then is a loops. And I've never actually made it like too far past wave 100 because it's really difficult. Give me a super mod. Go on, give me a super boost. Ah, sickened extremely badly. Is it a new? No. Okay, so this enemy should disappear. I think a lot of my shots there got caught off one of those. Oh boy. I'm gonna get to one cycle this. This is phenomenal. Okay. And get devastated. Again, never encountered this boss the last run. This is Juggernaut. Not going to be too much of a problem here, but a much bigger problem. I'm going to take maybe Magnetism because I'm doing a lot of things at a lot of range. Juggernaut is a massive threat if you have like low damage, high rate of fire weapons because he's got really high armor and really high health. And hitting him from the front does like next to no damage, but you can't just stay in one place and shoot at him because he's got like projectiles as well as little bombs that he throws out behind him. So yeah, it's a tough fight if you don't have like single damage or rather high damage single shot weapons, like for example railgun. Wow, I don't normally have a lot of trouble with these guys, but they're normally not the easiest to fight. There is one upgrade. There is one thing I would change on this build. That unfortunately I don't have the option to. I'm gonna take. Do I want to take Splinter? Yeah, it's just a reduced rate of fire. That's fine. And that means even more AoE on the hits that hit. And then I'm probably going to take like light targeting, but I don't want to go down that route too much because it will reduce damage and it will reduce like velocity. I don't want extra projectiles at all. I want to keep this like as focused around one specific thing, like one specific shot as possible. This is like a lot, honestly. This is just a lot. I wasn't expecting any of this. Okay, so next upgrade. I probably really want to take some defensive stuff right now. And I would probably like... so this is where we take a grenade and just throw the whole building in the trash. Because I hate fun. Like the only other builds that would be even remotely good around this with like the same upgrade path if I did decide to like weapon change, and I'm not. I'm going to preface that with like that right now. I'm not going to weapon change. Would maybe be the Vortex, and that would be it. That would be all that comes to mind. Ooh, you know what I should take is I'm going to take that, and then like there's a couple of offensive upgrades that I still really want. And I just, like, I know I should get them, but I know I want them, but I know I should focus defensively. Hey, that's the guy that killed us last run. This is actually not okay. So, there's a couple of things that I'm looking at getting. The first of which being, I might die here. A couple of offensive upgrades that I want, but also the fact that I need defensive upgrades. Now, I'm dead. I ran straight into those. That is such a shame. Okay, so that was poor play on my part there at the end. We're going to try that again because I'm heavily dissatisfied with the fact that I lost that. That's what I meant, though, about finding yourself in hot water really quickly without a couple of defensive upgrades. And while my offensive power was amazing, I'm still not that amazing at the game. But don't tell anybody I said that. And so I can't afford to not take things like absorption and like hull strength, a little bit of regeneration, stuff like that, just because my downtime is like, I have just a lot of downtime. Railgun. Sick. And I kind of skipped through those upgrades there, which is a bit of just bad form on my part. I'm sorry about that. So I'm going to take Assault, and there's a shield in particular that we unlocked, as well as a new weapon that I might try out in the next run that I really want with this. And there it is, Amp. So Amp gives you, it's got like the lowest amount of any shield in terms of durability, but it's also got one of the shortest cooldowns with 6.75 seconds, and you can reduce that as well. So while it's active, I get 20% thrust and total weapon damage, and while it protects me, damage is further boosted for each threat that's inside my weapon radius. So Amp is an amazing weapon if you're going for... Amp is an amazing shield, sorry, if you're going for like a crash damage build with Celestial Lance and things like that. But it's also really great for the extremely safe weapon that is the railgun, because you spend so much time as far away from enemies as possible, where possible, and decimating them as soon as they get onto the screen, as well as the fact that railgun comes with a built-in knockback, as you saw right there. And that means while they won't be taking the bonus damage from being inside the effect radius, they are taking, you do get the extra 20% damage, and you're not as vulnerable as some of the other builds. So yeah, velocity, and then magnitude. There are a couple of like baseline upgrades that I feel are the most important, and just like double your damage output immediately, and that would be like velocity. And then I don't really want rapid fire, but I do want warpath, but I'm probably going to take hull strength, because as we saw last time, I don't want to disappear. That was just really, really unfortunate. And then we're going to look at like charge shot, volley, basically as soon as they show up. And once I have some of those, we're sorted. So charge shot won't show up in the early stages because it's down a later upgrade path. I feel like I'm getting a bunch of messages. Who's possibly contacting me? But charge shot is down the payload upgrade path, so you need to take either payload or splinter first, and then you can get charge shot afterwards, which works quite well with this weapon because you're going to be taking payload. And the only other thing that I'm really contemplating taking on this is that a level up? It's not level up. Burst fire. So you fire in a 3-round burst, and then the game has you get a delay on your shots based on your rate of fire. I got him. Nice. Charge shot. So you get a delay on your weapon shots based on your rate of fire. I'm dead. At least I got an extra reroll per game. That's fantastic. That sucks, and I refuse to take that lying down. So in my first episode, okay, finish my point first. You get a 3-shot burst and then a delay on your next fire based on your rate of fire. And it's worth noting that charge shot kind of reduces your rate of fire, but also changes how it works. And so instead of getting like a delay on when you can release the charge, you get a delay on when you can start your next charge. And like it does increase your downtime just a little bit more every time you do it. And so especially with all of those upgrades and things like payload and like volley, they all reduce your rate of fire just like a little bit every time. And you can sort of get to a point where what's happening is you're like firing so infrequently, and they do massive damage, absolutely, but you're firing so infrequently that you just can't do things effectively anymore. We roll here for assault, and then see if we can get amp. Yeah, okay, fabulous. Oh, nice to have another upgrade. So in my first episode, I mentioned an issue that I had with the game where sometimes enemies will pop in off screen and then you'll die. And effectively, enemies exist before they enter the screen. You'll see it with some of the homing effects, and drones as well. They're really good for it. They'll fire at enemies that are still kind of off screen. I'm actually going to take drones for the defense here, and just for like the crowd control. So enemies exist off screen for a little bit, and that means it's like really, really easy for you to get knocked back by something. A stray meteor that might have gotten sucked into anything, or even hit by like some comets that are passing by. A large enemy that knocks into you and you survive the hit with like a sizable amount of health, but maybe you breaks your shield, and then you ram into an enemy that has like a couple of drones around it, or just has high crash damage as you're being fired around the screen, because remember that you wrap and projectiles don't, and enemies wrap as well. So you just die, you disappear, and it's like kind of unfortunate because it puts an end to what can be a really good build in a way that is kind of hard to understand what happened. And I don't like that at all. So what you would have seen just like a second ago, and I'm sorry for not acknowledging it when it showed up because that would just be more impactful, was a singularity, and those will spawn with relative frequency and increased frequency with some of the later upgrades. I think it's like Dangerous Universe is one of them. I say upgrades, but I mean like modifiers. And snipe. as well as... Ooh, give me magnetism, why not? So what a singularity does is it sucks everything around it into it, and that includes experience and projectiles, as well as yourself and enemies. So it will like absolutely wipe an area, but unfortunately it will also pull you in and potentially kill you. It does massive damage, and if you're not taking any projectile or contact damage while you're in there, as long as you're thrusting, you won't die. You'll like fire out from the bottom left side of the screen. It's actually quite cinematic and pretty cool. But you'll be left with like no shield and something like 20% like hull strength left. It's really, really scary. They used to be instant kills. If you fell into one, you died. And then Chimeric changed that, which is honestly a much better change. And the really like cinematic entry is much better, I think. Savage, so we got charge shot, and now I'm looking for calibrate just to increase, or decrease rather, my weapon spread and increase my velocity. And then I'm in a pretty good spot for offense, and I'm going to focus like solely on defense and my drones for now, just so I can survive into the mid game and like the first couple bosses. And because once I start encountering, there's another boss as well, other than the two that we saw. You're dead. You're dead. I know those are there. They're just really hard to hit with this weapon. The little cargo boxes. I see him. Don't worry. I see him. Just want to get it before it fades. Oh yeah, also experience wraps, like screen wraps. And that makes it really odd sometimes, where you won't notice it so much with this build because I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the center of the screen. But with the Celestial Lance build, God, that is so nice. Yeah, so this is how effective it is without blast damage. It's kind of strange to think that I had like blast damage and everything at this stage. Also got sizable knockback, which pushes the laser into me, and that's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Yeah, blast damage was just a good addition. Oh my god. I can't believe I didn't get this before. Whew, this changes the weapon so much. I can't tell you how like, just how much joy and glee this is bringing me. Okay, so I know I said I was going to focus on defensive upgrades, and I really, really, really need to do that like right now. But Splinter though, I'm also really hesitant to use rerolls until I get into the kind of late game, because there's a lot of stuff that I can still use in the early stages of the game in a lot of different upgrade trees, and once I get towards like wave 70, wave 100, my build needs like 2 or 3 things and can't really afford not to have those. And if I save up like 5 or 6 rerolls, I'm in a much better space. Like now, like hull strength is just as important to me as shield durability, so I don't need to focus on the one or the other. I'm also like not as big a fan of the effect radius on amp because I don't need it that much with this build. So there's a couple of there's like one upgrade down the shield durability path that reduces the effect radius but increases the shield strength, and I'm going to be using that as well if I get the chance. That's if I don't die in the meantime. I've been having a lot of issues rather with get absolutely fucked, just dying really, really fast when I'm doing like railgun builds, just because this is the thing that I was talking about. Oh my god, never mind anything that I was saying before. I'm gonna take concentrated blast probably. This is a hyper mod. Unfortunately, this is like probably the worst weapon to showcase it with. Hyper boost rather. You glow in a rainbow. Your velocity, like your ship velocity, your thrust speed, and your damage and your rate of fire are all increased. And if your weapons are also a rainbow, it's fabulous with Vortex because it changes them to be a giant rainbow. And if you have volley, so I was hoping to get it that time but we didn't have it unlocked, every one of your shots has this really, really amazing rainbow effect. So absorption, and I'll see if I can get like armor stacks, those kinds of things. And I might look at getting like defensive drones as well, because like for the most part my weapon is good. Unless I get no other upgrades that are weapon related, I'm not going to worry too much about them. Yeah, my weapon is more than good. Ooh, don't stand there. No step on Jack. It's a lot of experience. I'm gonna just go through this. Yeah, fuck it. That was a terrible idea. Don't ever do that. Scale up a bit of velocity and hit him. Oh, what is good? I really hate this wave. Like, so much. Force armor. And, like, there are a couple of upgrades that'll stop the whole you get hit from the corner of the screen and instantly die type things. Like, force armor is a really good one because it gives you crash damage resistance. But it's also down a couple of upgrade paths, and if you're playing in some of the higher difficulties, you just need to be more careful. There is a tooltip somewhere in the game. I think it's, like, at the load screen, but I'm honestly not sure. And so shield effect radius is what I want. This gives me shield effect power, which would go from, say... See, I'm actually not sure if this applies additively or multiplicatively. The way the game has been kind of dealing with damage and all these things seem to be really, really focused on the most fun possible. So I think it's additively, which would go from, say, 20% extra damage to 10%, to 30%, sorry, if I get this. What I'm worried it might be is if I take that, it might be, say, 10% to the 20%, and that would be like 22% increased damage, which is absolutely nothing. Oh, you took big damage. Nice. Ooh, get devastated. And, like, I mean, that's nothing. That's a complete waste of time. The upgrade paths that come from the rest of it are great, honestly. Like, increased shield effect power, again, with like a lower effect radius, which I want, as well as, like, so this one, focus shield, so I get effect power, and I also get shield durability, but I lose shield radius, so the extra 25 could be massive. I'm probably not going to take regenerative shields again, because it's a tiny, tiny, tiny shield, but there are a couple of things that I want that are going to might require it, like emergency systems, just get me out of harm's way, and there's another one, I think it's flash shielding, which reduces the cooldown on your shield drastically, but also desperately reduces the shield duration. I wonder if I can check my shield effect power, actually. Effect modifier, 135%. Oh, so that adds additively. That's phenomenal. Okay. Brilliant. Thanks to the developer, Chimeric. Again, a one-man team, which is astonishing, honestly, for making this as fun as possible. And this right here is why I have magnetism, because I'm going to spend a lot of time not next to enemies. I don't want to have to fly into the fray to... Little Kale quote for you there. I don't want to have to fly directly into the fray to get any of the upgrades. And I also don't want to miss stuff, because once you get towards the later waves, you need those levels. You really do. Also, one of the really cool things that the developer is planning, based on the roadmap, is like new bosses and the wild mods and all this stuff, and also weapon mutations. So when you hit... Is that just free? Because I lost like 10%, 20% blast radius for taking concentrated blast, but this doesn't give me a damage down, so that's just free. Oh, but I really, really want reinforced drones. No, let's do it. Let's just focus on the weapon. Let's make the bad decisions. Weapon mutation. So when you hit like level 20, you get the option to retain your weapon as it is, but it gets like increased damage, or mutate the weapon to do like various things. And he's focusing on putting those in like all the different kinds of weapons that exist, which also just looks really great. I'm so excited for the roadmap for this game. And the current roadmap is for like the rest of this year. And it's over like the space of the next few months. And like I said, if the game had released in this state, this would be a full game. And the fact that the developer wants to add more and more things to it over the course of the entire year, and potentially ongoing, I guess, is phenomenal. And maybe it's just more of that was a lot of damage numbers. Maybe it's just a statement to like games that exist now, currently, like the whole games as a service model and all that nonsense. But I'm really, really, really excited. And also really happy with him. Is that hyper boost? Oh, check that knockback. If I could get a hyper boost in the Sarah fight, I would be so happy. Yeah, I think I don't want to take burst fire, because I like being able to rapid fire some of these. Whew. Whew. So there's burst fire. A delay between weapon bursts is... So yeah, it's a bit... this is the one I wanted. Shield cooldown. So this will also unlock flash shielding for me. I could die here. Probably won't, but I could. I don't think any enemy represents a bigger problem to me than those guys. And I probably want to take Incendiary Strike. So now I can take Candescence if I want, which is like increased burn damage, and also when you deal damage to burning enemies, it like does more damage. There's a few other upgrades down that path as well. But I don't want to take everything in Candescence until much later, or if at all, minus just the regular Candescence upgrade, because it also decreases your weapon damage by like 40%. I don't want to move because I'm in a really dangerous spot right now. Yeah. This is why I wanted emergency systems and also flash shielding, just so my shield is up really fast. And well, also emergency systems is when your shield goes down, you gain immunity to collision damage and like projectile damage. So basically all kinds of damage, actually, just damage immunity. Really, really, really helpful. And with flash shielding, it comes up really, really rapidly. I think it's like it can't occur more than like once every 3 seconds, but there's like an internal cooldown on it, but it says it on the weapon, on the mod path, and I'll show it as soon as I get it. And as you can see, like amp doesn't hold up in the later stages at all. I'm just going to be using it. I'm using it for those like early parts while I... Okay, no, I can't. I need like reinforced drones. And then I need to get defensive drones like right now. I'm taking way too much damage here. Get bopped. I'm probably going to be swapping out my shield later on for warp. Assuming I can spare the upgrade points and I don't have anything that's really, really pressing at the time. Because I don't want to be standing anywhere that I'm standing if I'm taking lots of damage. Which makes sense. I mean, that just sounds pretty basic, but like... Obviously, you don't want to be standing where you're standing if you're taking damage. But it also does like a massive burst damage on impact. And I won't be moving very far because I'll have reduced my shield radius a good bit. But I'm more focused on the damage and getting it to proc repeatedly if I'm taking damage that it deals, and also getting it to proc repeatedly if I'm taking damage. So let's go for these. Ooh, I don't like any of these. I'm not sure I like any of these. I'll take Vital Shields. Should die. Okay, I hit most of my shots into the warp things. There we go. Okay, you also need to go. I mean, this is going well. Like, I think we were dead twice by here already. I could die here. This is why I got drones, and they're doing no help to me. I'm sorry I couldn't hit the cargo train. There were way too many enemies on screen, and I didn't want to die, which I'm already really close to doing. This... Oh god, we're on wave 100. Okay, this is really good and also really bad. I need flash shielding, like now. This is Seraph. Seraph is a threat in every conceivable way. There are enemy spawns constantly, as well as it has like the warp shield effect. It has a railgun. It has mines that it lays out. The shield warp effect does damage, as well as this. He's got a vortex orb and does Celestial Lance. He's just a supercharged you. Fortunately, as well as periodic drones, fortunately Seraph doesn't have... I keep on changing how we say that. Seraph. It spawns enemies at the size of the screen. And also... Oh god, stop this. It spawns massive amounts of lightly homing projectile field mines, which it will do as soon as this is finished. Come on, just get in screen. Those. Fortunately, Seraph doesn't have a Deadly Wake effect, and I actually don't think I've demonstrated a Deadly Wake effect so far, which I probably will, with burn damage, which is great, and also gives me damage to enemies that are behind me, and when I warp at all or move really quickly, I want that. I wonder what my shield cooldown is. 4 seconds. It's not too bad. So that'll still work with emergency systems. I have a level up. I don't really want Radiant Shields at all. It's got a 15% slower shield cooldown and less durability, which I really, really don't want. So I'm going to take Improved Thrusters here, and that's going to get me... oh, actually I want more. Never mind. I have plenty damage. Like, I really don't need the amp damage at all, as you can see. I take it in the early game, and then usually swap it out later, just because I... So this still has, like, yeah, like a 4-second cooldown. It's just a better shield, and warps me out of harm's way, dealing a massive burst of damage when it does. I know I've changed topics quite quickly. It's like what I've been talking about and lost myself on a couple of tangents. At the moment, I have a habit of doing that anyway. But a really, really fast-paced game like Nova Drift kind of enforces that. I'm going to die here if I don't move. Okay, I didn't. Nice. Still a successful... This is a successful run. I would consider this a successful run. Seraph didn't look that difficult right here. I fought him a couple times, so I'm a bit used to him. And... also, this is a really, really focused build for like dealing massive amounts of single target damage, and has like I've invested quite heavily into defense. Like, this is a really good build. Seraph with a lot of other builds is impressively hard. He'll devastate drones so fast because there's so much AoE damage going on, and the same with allies. And that means like ally builds are just not as effective, unfortunately. I'll take Rupture for that extra explosive damage. Ally builds are like really, really, really hard to beat Seraph with. And I definitely want to do it at some point, but he will destroy constructs, and then you're kind of left defenseless, especially if you're going like Bastion and shielded constructs. I know I'm saying a lot of terms here, and I'm aware that like maybe you haven't experienced too much in Nova Drift. If this is your first, like, I guess it might be your second. If should not be saying this like however many minutes into the video, but if this is your first like experience with Nova Drift, then thanks. That's so cool. I know a lot of people aren't covering it yet, which is like weird because it's such a fun game. Die. Okay, shields are back up. But if you have experienced it, then you'll know like a little bit more of what I'm talking about. But there's like Bastion, which is a shield that is directly in front of you, and it, instead of having like a cooldown, well, it does have a cooldown, but it's got like a really improved cooldown, but it's also a construct. So all of your construct mods, which is like drones and mines and like the health upgrades for those. I don't want to take shield durability, but I do want to take shield durability. I'm probably going to take advanced engineering for the extra defense. So you have like shielded constructs, which makes your construct shields apply to your shields, apply to your constructs instead of you. I might get caught here. Okay, so I get to demonstrate this at least. Don't die. And that's what happens when you get caught in a black hole. Fortunately, it doesn't kill you straight away. Because if it did, I hate this man. I absolutely hate this man. This is one of the most dangerous enemies in the entire game. Might not have seen it there, but it really is. That thruster trail that it leaves behind it, that's a deadly wake and deals obscene amounts of burn damage to you if you get caught in it. And one of the things that I have been building towards with improved thrusters, but it hasn't shown up for me, which is kind of weird. You have a massive shield. I feel like I might be getting outscaled damage-wise. There isn't much more that I can invest in damage-wise, not without super mods. There's 2 of them, of course there's 2 of them. And also they do this now. I don't want to get caught in this. None of them are dead. Okay, yeah. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Got a couple upgrades going, which is actually quite nice. Is that like 4 of the mod? Do I get this? Ooh, nice, nice, nice. So yeah, I don't have it yet, but that next unlock there, that's Bastion. So I got enemy territory, quick starting wave by 12, I got turrets, which are great for construct builds. Condescence is now in the tree as well, and extra rerolls. And I also got battery. So battery gives you extra projectiles, and they're swapped between your sides. So you'll fire projectiles out of the sides. It's really cool for like a grenade build. And you also get like massively increased. It's got like the most hull strength out of any of the ships, but it's also got like really bad thrust. Oh, a new high score. Cool. So let's go with GJ. Oh, cool. That's fourth. I'm really surprised. I didn't expect that. I guess I did get pretty far, in fairness. I got to wave, what, 125? Oh, that's the same one as this one. Is that a... Oh, I used the basic gun for that. That's really surreal. I didn't think that I got that far with a basic gun. Twice? No, something's wrong there. Yeah, I don't think this is like acknowledging that I selected a gun for these builds. Oh, that was before I reset my progress. That's what that is. So I just like swapped out to the other gun. That's fine. So that was really cool. That was a really, really great build. But I'm going to call it there for the episode because it's probably already really long. And when we catch up next, I'm probably going to do maybe a Vortex build. But let's see if anything catches my eye in the meantime. If you enjoyed the episode anyway, thanks for watching. Give us up to the channel and hit an F in the comments for that devastating defeat that I suffered a bunch of times really early in the game. Oh, also, it can be played with keyboard and mouse, and I'll probably do an episode of that later on, but I really don't enjoy it. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and goodbye.